Morning, guys. John here, Mr. Forex Fire. So I'm just going to share the screen this morning. Yesterday, we used a different approach to how we were doing. Let's take a look. How we were doing our trading. We were using obviously the previous session or the previous day high and lows to get in on a trade. And you can see once we drill down into what we had yesterday, where we're at, it was, forgetting which pair it was now. I think it was the NAS. We got a 2%. It was a 2% win. Now I do remember. Again, instead of doing like when I see the midnight, like I see it today, the 14th of February, using the high and low of this day, we're using a technique which is going to bring in fewer trade ideas, but at the same time, it's going to protect us a little bit more. So I'm just going to go back up to the hour. Okay. And what we're going to do is we're going to do the same again. We're going to put the magnet on. So that one's higher. So we're going to do, like I say, the previous daily high. PDH, previous daily high. And then the previous daily low, which in fact was actually the start of the opening price. So all day yesterday, we were just bullish on price action. So the going on this, we might just get a continuation and price movement, to be fair. Let's take a look at the Euro USD. Again, yesterday, we just didn't get any move from out of this. So like I say, I mean, the highest point yesterday was this here, but it looks as if we may have missed a trade here, to be fair, because if we go down to the 1 minute, we can see on here, it's already made its move. You see, we've got a break of structure here, which is creating a new lower low. From there, we're looking at, I mean, that was displacement. Just take this magnet off. You can see right there, there's your entry there, you know, and then from there, short position just above the high, and you're only going for a 1 to 2. Let's take a look. Pull that out of there. We'll see if that would have come in. Still, it would still be active. Little to no drawdown on that. The GBP USD. Let's go back up to the hour. And again, we're just moving the fence posts. And what I mean by that is we'll bring the 13th to the 14th. That was the winning trade yesterday. It was the GBP USD. We've got the 2% on that yesterday. So I'm just going to get rid of that. Bring the trading plan up. Right, so we've got yesterday's low. Get the magnet back on. Yesterday's highest point. This candle on the high, you check here. 21523. Yep, so that's the highest point. So we are now at the moment, excuse me, we've broken out. We'll go down to the minute. And we're just looking at the price action at the moment. We broke the high. I'll put the displacement detector on. the 15 minute. We want some reds. We want some of these reds to come into play, the red arrows. Like I say, we've got the break here. We've come down. We want to see possibly a break of this here before we can enter a trade. So that's the 15-minute low. The 5-minute low, sorry. We'll just go down to the 2 minute. We'll identify the break of the previous daily high, which is that there. And again, what we need to see, or what I would like to see, is obviously as we broke the high, we're coming down, we'll come up. Hopefully we'll get a displacement through here, up into a fair value gap and a continuation lower. So by that, it means obviously when you get the breaker structure here, you're leaving a displacement on this area here, sort of thing. But again, price does not always move exactly as we anticipate like that. But we can certainly keep an eye on what the price movement is doing. That's odd USD. Let's have this marked out. Go up to 1 hour. Okay, so what we've got here is, that's the midnight. It's 5 a.m. UK time, but on New York, that's the actual midnight line, as I always say. Okay, we'll get the magnet on, and we'll go for previous daily high, which is right up on there. Previous daily low, which again was midnight open on here. So we take the magnet off. Let's get our alarms on. Now we're bringing this into play. We've got the GBP, USD down into the 1 minute. Possibly have this played to about here. Be keeping an eye on this. We don't need to do the alarms. We know this one's active. Euro USD. This must have been one I laid out yesterday, but I wasn't what. Yeah, I think it was towards the end of the session I had this one laid up, but I didn't see it to enter it because we were pretty late on. I mean, obviously this is given at the moment. It's given a 1.5, so I'm just going to clear that off today. I'll just clear that up. That's what we've just done, man, wasn't it? That was the one that we've just set up. We'll get this on. We're keeping an eye on this one. I'm sorry, I'm thinking of yesterday. So we're seeing if this one will play out. This one would have been, we've missed the entry in fairness. But again, it's just giving you the structure point to the high on here. We've had the liquidity grab. My bad. We've had the liquidity grab there. And then we've come down and we broke the structure point from that standpoint. So we've got the breaker structure and obviously we've left behind the fair value as well. So we've come in, mitigated it once, twice, 3 times we've mitigated into this fair value gap. So again, we'll put that one to the bottom. We've got the odd USD where we've got the alarm set. We've got the GBP USD, which is active from a liquidity grab. We've got the NAS 100. Let's have a look. Again, we're waiting for price to either come above or we're waiting for price to come below. It might take some time for this to do this, to be fair. And then from there, I think I'm actually going to add in. I think I'm actually going to add in the US 30, to be honest. Let's have a look. Well, add this in because I like to trade the US 30. Let's just take a look at this. We'll go up to 1 hour. Horizontal rear. We'll get this on. We'll get yesterday's high. Yesterday's high. And again, you can say here, just a bullish momentum, just pushing up, you know. And then we want the magnet off, vertical line, put on there, and we'll want to create the alarm on that, and the alarm on the lower side. So, schematic wise, we've got, let's see it, the Euro USD, which is currently on a trade which we had just missed, but it'll be good to see this will actually play out to that 2%. We've got the AUD USD set up with the fence posts and the alarms to the high and low. We've got the GBP, which has at this time done the liquidity grabs. That's the third. We've got the US 30, which again, we've got the highs and lows set up. And then we've got the NAS 100 again, fence post wise. We've got the highs and lows set up. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 areas. And we've got one which we just missed out on trade, but we've set it up to see if it'll hit it. And then we've got one or two which has done a liquidity grab. I'll pause the video from here, guys. If the alarms trigger off, we'll see if we can find any other entries in a short while. I'll see you in a bit. Hi, guys. So again, we're looking at the AUD USD, something I just put in earlier on as well. You can see the high is up at the open. We did have a grab here when you look here. Not much, but there has been a liquidity grab there. And it actually left behind imbalance. So you would have had an entry around about here. And it's actually given over a 1 to 4. But you would only ever attack, excuse me, tired. We only ever look for these 1 to 2s. So again, the high's been taken out on that. Let's go to the NAS. Nothing's happening. The US 30. Again, nothing happening. The GBP USD. We've now got a structure high. Or have we? This candle here. Looking at the high there. 21705. So that's the actual high there. This is going to start getting away from price, to be fair, at the moment. I don't like it when we come too far away from the yesterday's high area. I really want to see price come back down and attack. I mean, this area, especially now, we've retested the previous day high. It shows you how strong these levels are, to be fair. This was yesterday's high. Okay, coming into midnight, we were nearly there. We then broke through it, retested, bounced on it a few times, come back into yesterday's range of the high and low, come out, broke back through it, come out, tested, respected, and now it's trying to do a continuation push. And by that, what I mean is, as we broke through, it's trying to do a continuation trend to this upside, to be honest. But with that in mind, I mean, obviously, if we're going to we've got the displacement, we need the displacement to come in, because we've pushed out, we've come in, we've come back through. I want to see a push like this and possibly a continuation down, hopefully thus just giving, like I say, a double top effect on here. Again, we just got to be patient. We don't get in on trades. I'm just as much to blame for that side of things more than anything else. I think we all do it, needing to have the patience and sit on your hands. You just got to let price be able to show its hand, you know. And as we can see, we broke above that point there for sure now. So I can move this up to here. And we could use this here as the low point and wait for a big, it's got to be a big displacement, to be fair. A big displacement through that, back up into possibly, like I say, after you get the displacement, having a look for the fair value gap and then to push down into these areas. So price at the moment on the Great British Pound is jumping through. One thing I didn't do this morning was check the news, and heavy news. We've got CPIs today, especially in New York, you know. And if we just go to the FX Street, which is the one I tend to use mainly, let's have a look. So we've got a lot of Euro news coming up, GBP, and heavily on the USD later on this afternoon. So trade carefully if you trade the day, you know. We'll just go back onto here. We'll get rid of this. That will just use the back button a bit easier. Just one more quick run through. Again, that would have been a 2% today, although we weren't up to catch it. But this is like a forward test, back test sort of thing. We're seeing from what's happened on this sort of stuff, where the highs have been. The highs have been in. We've taken the liquidity grab. We've come down, okay, and then we've come to test. That would have been a 2% there. Obviously, the NAS were not breaking any sort of structure points. The US 30 was still meandering about. The GBP USD, again, we need to see price come back down into these areas. The Euro USD did not actually give the 2% unless you just give that above the top there. Would that have been a 2%? No, it would have just see a field. So that one there would have knocked her out, to be fair. So again, we'll move that to the top of the pile. We've got the GBP, USD, US 30, NAS, and we've got that odd USD. Okay. So again, pause the video. We'll be back in a short while. I'm not going to be doing New York sessions today because CPI news, you've seen what was like on the FX Street news market. So it's going to be a bit of a settled date, to be fair, for the CPI data coming in. I'll be back in a short while. Okay, guys, so I've just had two alarms go off, the US 30 and the NAS. Okay, so now and there's the Euro USD. Why is that gone off there? Euro USD. Just take a look. Yeah, we know that that's taken out. We're not looking at Euro USD. We're looking at the NAS. Okay, we've identified the break. US 30. Again, identify it. We go up to 15 minutes. You can see, obviously, it's broken yesterday's high. Same with that NAS. We've broken that yesterday's high. I really want to see the displacement arrow come back into play, if I'm honest with you. We'll take it from there, the US 30, waiting for those reds to come in. And we've got the GBP USD. Let's get rid of that. We'll get a new one on. As you can see, we've got three tradable assets that have actually broken the previous day high. Okay, we're now waiting for price to come back into play. I've looked at the odd USD. I mean, this has already done it. We may be going for another attack. So, like I say, we've got a 2% on the table at the moment. But again, we might get another attack, creating a new high, and then we'll be looking at this one. So three tradable assets at this time. I'm going to go and make a cup of tea, guys, and I will actively keep an eye on these. And then what we'll do is, if anything comes about on a tradable entry, I'll come back on the video and I'll show you guys. So out of the 1, 2, 3, 4 pairs we're doing, we've got 3 which have been actively liquidity grabbed. Okay, be back in a short while. Right, okay, guys, it looks like we've got to move to the downside. We've got our displacement. Let's just have a look at. See if we can get a 1 to 2. There's our 1 to 2. We've got the US 30 on. And it looks as if we still need price action to come down below these areas. Okay, still need the price to come down on the NAS on that. But again, we've had the liquidity grab. The GBP USD price is starting to come down now. Again, I would possibly even move this to this area, because as we've come up, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, swing point is certainly on around about here. I would like to see this protected, and this, because as you take liquidity, you're going to create liquidity. So again, take liquidity is taken from this higher high to create that higher high. Create liquidity is the retracement, which is the higher low. Okay, coming back up and failing to take the higher high would then mean price may want to come back and reverse and start to take that higher low to create a lower low. But again, the price range that we're looking at in structure is between that range there and this range here at the moment. So again, you don't really need indicators to be able to trade. You just need to be able to look for significant areas like what we're doing here, previous daily high, previous daily low, and then just work from structure points within ranges to then obviously guide you with breadcrumbs from fair value gaps, displacements, and other things, So the US 30 looks as if it may be coming back in to try and hit a certain area on this. And we'll take this just below the fair value gap in fairness. We'll spread that out just that little bit more. And we'll tuck this in a bit. There's a 1 to 2 there. Again, the odd USD. You can see on here again. It's come up. It's touched again. And it's actually went and done the 2% again. So again, I mean, not that I would do. If this had already given 2%, I wouldn't look to be re-entering on the same parameters. But again, it would have done it twice over on that. Again, we'll go back onto the NAS. We're waiting for the NAS to break the structure below here. So again, structure points, we're looking for price to break below here in all fairness. The US 30, we'll see, we'll get an entry from this shortly. The GBP USD, we're still waiting for price to come down to the lower parts. And that's the update on this so far, guys. Okay, guys, so again, we've got the high, we've got a low. Price has come back and it's failed to take the high, so it's created that new sort of higher low. So that's the range at the moment. We'd wait for a break through this area. The odd USD, we already know, gives something. The NAS, we're just waiting for a displacement. The US 30 is in a little bit of drawdown at the moment. Again, if we take this low here, we could get a continuation down. Excuse me. But again, price is now starting to falter off a little bit. The GBP USD, again, we've taken the high here. So we can get rid, I think we can more or less get rid of this. Move this to above here. I would still expect price to come below this before I would look for an imbalance, to be fair. So again, price is starting to flicker out a bit. We've got the US 30, which is in on that trade. We've got the NAS, which is stuck between the range at the moment, and the odd USD, which obviously this morning had already done the move. But based upon the parameters of what we spoke about, midnight, and then we do like the previous high and low. Midnight was the actual high. The low is a mile away, to be fair. Again, even on that based on that entry, which was, like I say, we got in there. And if it was here, okay, I just want to see what sort of return it will be if it actually goes to the previous day low, 1 to 18, we struggle this out just that little bit more, and we'll do 1 to 16. We'll see what happens with that, just as a test. We'll see if this structure could hold to do like a 1 to 16 at some point today, because I'm not looking to enter. This one is not one that I would particularly go forward and trade. I just want to be able to test something, because basically if we've already got a high being produced, I just want to see if that structure there, if this structure here would hold, if we will get a re-entry to possibly go to attack the lower areas. Just out of curiosity for my own sort of reporting, we'll see if this would actually give. That NAS 100, again, stuck between the range of this higher high and higher low. We're waiting for a break to the downside with a bit of luck. The US 30, it looks as if it may do a continuation trend up, which would mean that high will get taken out. The GBP USD, again, continuation trend. If price gets too far away from the structure high from the previous day, then I would certainly be looking to sort of not trade on these particular pairs, to be honest. It's just the way it is. You can't let price get too far away from that structure high, to be honest, from here, you know. So I'll pause the video just as one little last rundown. What we're looking at is a GBP USD looks as if it's going to do a continuation higher. If we get too high, obviously I'll not be looking to trade this at the moment. The US 30, again, well, this looks to me as if it just may be a continuation trend up, because we just got high highs, high lows, high highs, high lows. And at the moment, we're failing to structurally create a high high. But it doesn't mean to say between this point and this point that price would meander around slowly and consolidate before breaking that higher side to make the higher high, to then come in to make that lower higher low, if that makes sense. The NAS 100, again, stuck between the two structure points. And what we've got at the moment is that odd USD. I really would like to see if we get a touch entry on here. Hopefully that structure high would hold, just to see if we would come down to get into this. It's a long ask. It's a big ask to see if we actually would get this 1 to 16 on here. It's touched entry now, because you can see on here, before I sort of close off, you can see we've actually touched in there now. So again, I'll not be sort of recording this one, because I only edge for, like I say, the 1 to 2 moves. But just out of curiosity, I just want to see if this structure down here will hold. We may get a blowout, and it may actually go on to create a complete new high of the day, to be fair, because this is not much of a liquidity grab, in fairness. But overall, from midnight to day, it is the structure high point. So we'll just see if this will hold. If it does, we'll see if we'll get a continuation to get that reverse come down. If it doesn't, then it's obviously going to blow through and create a new high for the day. And again, back down on the NAS, well, it looks as if we're getting price getting bullish now on all these at the moment. And there's the US 30 and the GBP USD. Again, we are now going for a structure high point. You see there, we've got a structure high point, because that's been broken there, which would mean we've got a new higher low. I can bring this down to here. This would be, like, for me, the last throw of the dice for price to sort of, like I said, as it's come up, it's come down, it's come up. I want to see that as the displacement from the higher high, leaving a fair value gap behind to touch into to continue down. That's what I'll be looking at with that. We'll see if it comes. I'll pause the video, be back in a short while. Okay, so I'm just about to head off, get myself a sandwich, bacon sandwich and a cup of tea. I'm just going to let price do what it needs to do. The GBP USD seems to just be continuation to the upside. Okay, the US 30, however, is now starting to come back into the break-even area, which is nice to see, to be fair. We may get that 1 to 2 eventually play out on this. The odd USD, you can see, has now easily give a 1% give back from what I'm just sort of extending as a forward test sort of thing. I just want to see if this will give a full 16.29% to the previous day low. We'll see if that continues there. And the NAS 100 is just stuck between the two ranges here. So the ones I've actively got my eye on at the moment is, I mean, GBP/USD is just bolting out of the stable, to be fair. It's just price momentum continuation. It's just continuing to go higher and higher and higher, to be fair. So just got to be mindful on that and trying to see if we're getting in on an entry. The US 30 is around about break even. The NAS is just stuck between no man's land. The odd USD, we're starting to see a nice drop on what I would like to see. This would be a fantastic call if I get this to play today, to be fair. Again, forward testing, demo trading, got to stress that. But again, we don't sort of get the plan into place if we don't test certain criteria of what we're doing moving forward, you know. So for now, we'll be keeping an eye on this. The NAS, like I say, no man's land. The GBP/USD looks as if it might start to drop. I mean, if you go into that higher time frame, the 1 hour, you can just see there, all it's been is buying pressure since the early hours of the morning. We go back down to 1 minute. It's got to start to give soon. I mean, hopefully, if this is its highest point that it's going to create for today, we'll be looking for a retracement back through the higher low with a good displacement leaving behind that fair value gap for us to possibly get in on an entry. That remains to be seen, to be fair. But again, we'll just actively keep an eye on what we're doing. I'll take this up to around about midday today. But what I'm excited about at the moment is certainly this one here that we sort of called through this morning. Just something we are testing with, obviously, the previous day high and low points. We came to attack that here. We come down, we got in on an entry, not once, but it done it twice. It gave 2%. Overall, it would have been a 4%. But we only ever look for these forward test trades for 2%. But with that being in mind, again, because we took the structure high here, and it hasn't come back to grab the liquidity on today's high, okay, I've looked for a re-entry again on this area, but this time for if the structure high holds, I want to see if it will then go down to attack the structure low from the previous day. And again, if I was to sort of add this here, that we were round about an entry here, we were round about there. That has given a 1 to 4 as it stands at the moment, you know. So yeah, this one is doing well at the minute. I'm going to pause the video and grab myself a little bacon sandwich, a cup of tea, and like I said, I'll be back on the video in due course whenever the next areas or PYs or if anything sort of breaks out, gives us more opportunities, or even if it hits the SL. We'll see what happens from there, guys. I'll see you in a bit. All right, so it looks like we're in for a bullish day on most things again. We've took a liquidity again on the high side. We've got this here. The new low is right here. Although the NAS, it's primed for a good return, to be fair, because the previous daily high had just been taken out. So this isn't too far away, to be fair. We'll get a price reaction coming through on the displacement. This could be in for a good setup. We'll start from the top. I was looking at the GBP, JPY as well. It just recently took the high before. Again, what it's done since then, it has actually done a new high. So we'll take this up to here. We'll keep the lows on the downside. The odd USD, which is the big one there, the big move I was looking for. There's a retracement coming in, which is to be expected. We got a nice wick entry. Again, we'll just see if this one plays out. I'm not going to move it. I'm not going to change parameters. This is not a trade I would be documenting. I just want to see its reaction from a structure high take. I just want to, like I say, see if it will go to a 16% gain. I mean, that might come till later on through the day. We've just spoke about the NAS. We broke through not once, twice. So we're looking for a fair displacement coming back through for a return in. The US 30, it's gone back heavily into the drawdown area. it's been in consolidated phase, if that makes sense, within the fair value gap of the 2-minute fair value gap earlier. So it's tried to test and break through. It looks as if it's the third breakout. It's going to retest, and it might be a continuation of the upside to take out the stop loss, to be fair. But we'll see what happens with that. The GBP USD, again, has just been very bullish since the open. Okay, this was the open midnight. We came back into a range, but now it's just been creating higher highs from the breakout, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, new higher low. We need to see structure in fairness to give us a push down on the driver here, displacement through it. And then as you get that again, you know the score. We'll wait for an area of imbalance or a fair value gap to come into play. Or a retracement to trick the buyers again to then sell off to possibly come back down. That's what I'm looking for with that at the moment. I'm going to leave that on. Just as one final rundown, we've got the GBP, JPY. It's just grabbed my attention now. We've got a new range from a previous daily high structure taken, which is the black line. The AUD USD, as I told you, we grabbed 2% already on this. It actually went in and did another 2%. But because the structure high was minimally took out, I just thought, we'll see if the structure liquidity points here would hold structure, get in on the entry for the third time here, and then see if it would actually drop, given that 16% move. Again, it's a big ask, but it's good to draw these out to see what will actually do that. The NAS 100, as you can see, it has pushed again. It's creating those high points. I could put the liquidity area here, in fairness. I really want to see the displacement come through the previous daily low, to be fair. I will keep an eye on that. The US 30, hopefully the structure high will hold. We just need something to come into effect. We are expecting a lot of CPI news today. The USD, there's a lot of news today. So this could have a big effect on certain parts of the market today. Again, and this is what I'm waiting for structure-wise on the GBP USD. Hopefully this area might hold. I'll pause the video. We'll be back in a short while. And just take a look at this, guys. Again, we've actually had the break come down below here. The retest was actually spot on to more or less where I was expecting some sort of retracement to go to. And now price is starting to drop now on the GBP USD, which is good. The GBP, JPY is still stuck between the range. The AUD USD is lovely coming down now. It's starting to tank down. Will they give us that 16%? The NAS 100, again, just to look on this, it's done a structure high. Excuse me, and I would dare say to bring this down to here, to be fair. So this is still moving on the up. The US 30, yeah, it looks as if it may come to attack that higher side on the buy side liquidity and eventually take us out on a stop loss. But structure still holding there as well. So this here, we can see it's coming back up to the higher side. The only thing I would say about this area, okay, is yes, I was waiting for a break structure down here. I was anticipating price to come into this area, which it has done. And in fact, yeah, you've got your fair value gap right across there. So that would have been the valid point for me to say at best to get into. So again, would be looking for a 1 to 2. Let's get rid of that. So that's playing out, and it's now got an entry. Let's get rid of this. It's now got an entry to where I previously marked. I was expecting price to come into that. It did actually come into it. It's tagged into it beautifully. To then possibly move to the downside. So we've got a 2%, which we grabbed this morning, which was here. Okay. We're now looking towards grabbing a 16% if at all possible on this one. So we've got 2%. The NAS, it's still continuing to go to these higher points, to be fair. US 30 has actually gone and stopped out. So that there would have been a -1. So on the day, obviously we took a 2%. We're now at a 1% day. And I think what I'll do from there is I'll move this back to the top. The Euro USD, we didn't get in on anything as such on that. That was a trade I'd done yesterday. The GPY, we're heading into lunchtime UK time, so I'm not particularly fussed about that. From there, the AUD USD, we're going to see how this one plays out for us. Again, I'm going to knock that up to a 15-minute. We'll see if that'll give us a 16%. So we've got 2% here. We've got, which was it that was there? The US 30, wasn't it? So it was a -1. We've got a 2%, so we're on 1% at the moment. We're just going to put on here 16.29, 16.29% with a question mark. We'll see if that plays out, but I won't add it to the overall today's total. Okay, this one is just, will it actually give that? So I'm officially on a 1% day. Again, on this price on the US, on the NAS is just going up. So because we're coming into the midday, I'm just going to get rid of that. That leaves us with, like I say, it leaves us with the AUD USD trade, the GBP USD on here. So again, on the 1 minute, if this structure sort of doesn't hold and it takes us out on here, again, I'll just go to 7 pips and we go to 14 pips to get the 1 to 2. So if this doesn't hold, it just makes we're back to a break-even day, albeit obviously we got the move what I was anticipating on here. So the 2 live ones at the moment, and so far on a -1, not a -1, on a 1% growth day, because we've got the 2, we got knocked out on the US 30. We're on a 1% day. Again, structure-wise and trade-wise, if this one comes in, it takes us to 3% for today. And with us forward testing the possibility of obviously seeing if we can get a high to low area after a liquidity grab from a break structure high on this. So on the forward test from outside of the plan, we could be on for a 16%, but overall the possibilities for the actual trading session today could be 3%. At worst, it will be a break even. So I'll pause the video. We'll come back much later on today for the finalization and the thoughts of what we're looking at today, or what we have done. Okay, so I shall see you when we get to around about just after 3 p.m. today. It's now 11 o'clock. I'm going to go and do the bits and pieces I need to do, and I'm going to come and see what price action has done, and then see if we've built upon the 1%, or if we go back to a break even, with also adding outside of the plan, see if we get that 16.29. So I'll be back in a few hours' time, guys. Okay, guys, so it's time to end the video. Let's have a look to see where we are. Okay, the NAS just continued to keep going up. We didn't really get any sort of break to come back down into price. The US 30, we got an entry, but then it went and hit the area up on the high side, just here taken out, which is annoying, you know, otherwise this would still be in effect in a trade. So that's a -1. GBP, JPY, again, we were looking for an entry, but again, it didn't come into any fruition. We broke the daily high, nothing was given. The Euro USD, this was from the other day. To be fair, we didn't actually get, no, in fact, we did. We entered this and it didn't quite give the 2%. So again, obviously it broke back into this, but this would have been prior to when we would have actually entered on a trade, because we're looking at New York time. Excuse me. Well, we're looking at an entry at around about, it's just before 7:30 again. The kill times are just after 9 a.m. So I wouldn't have technically taken a trade on that, but it did nearly give it 2%. NZD, that's something else I was looking at the other day. From here, we got a 2%, so take away the minus 1%. Okay, we are on a 1% day. The trade there where I was hoping we would go to the all-time daily low previous is actually come back and it stopped us out. This has not been documented as a trade. It was just something I was wanting to test. It did, however, go to a 2.62. So the 2% would have been attained quite a while ago. So again, we're not factoring this into the actual trade. I'm just going to get rid of that there. Not factoring this into the trade. And also we'll get rid of that. So we've got a 2% plus a minus 1. So that's a minus 1%. And again, based upon this structure, we came in, took the low, we got an entry, and again, a minus 1. So overall, we are on a break-even day. I'm not going to go into much more of trying to set up trades. We are coming into a lot of USD news coming up. We are currently 12:30. In around about an hour's time, we've got lots of CPI, customer price index movement. So again, session today, I'm happy with what I've vlogged for today. Maybe moving forward with this, maybe when we do get one winner, which is a 2% growth, maybe we sort of look at what we've done and we stop trading for the day, because grabbing 2% for a day is exceptional in my opinion, for any standard in trading. Again, we had looked and we sort of looked at around about 4 or 5 trades on this throughout the day. So the more you trade, and I'm just going to leave you with this thought, the more you trade, the more you're leaving yourself open to failure as well. I always go on about how less is more. And like I said, the first thing this morning, or the first today, we grabbed a 2%. We could have been done for the day, ticked that box off and just left it at that and had a growth of 2%. Again, moving forward, maybe we would do that. If we had a setup and it went to a 2%, I would stop the vlogging for the day and just have that as a 2% growth. But we'll do that moving forward from tomorrow. If we get into a trade, or in fact, we might just sort of have all our ducks lined up in a row. And what we'll do from there is, yes, we may have multiple tradable assets on our watch list, like what I've got here on your right-hand side. But the moment one gets in on an entry, if we come in and we get a winner, okay, of 2%, we just simply stop trading for the day. What I want to try and base it around is, if we get 2 losers in a row, let's say, you get a 1% and a minus 1%. We would just, again, close it out. This is just refinements and tweaks we need to do to the plan, just so we're not over trading on ourselves. But today, the vlog and what I've done today, I'm happy with the process and what I've done. Yes, I've not entered anything down on this side, but you've seen from what I've been looking at video-wise, price action and price movement, the general concept of this overall, which is now we're working from a previous daily high and a previous daily low. Okay, again, going into New York, there could be a good setup coming in, to be fair, based upon the New York session. However, because I do not trade heavily led news like CPI, NFP, FOMC, I just tend to try and stay away from those news events. So again, overall, general consensus, happy with what testing with this. we could have just had that 2%. It's been noted, it's been journaled. We've had multiple entries. Again, we need to go on the consensus of less is more. In future, if we get an entry and we get a 2%, stop doing the vlog for that day and just accept we've got a 2% gain, because the more you get into a trade, the more you've got on chances of sort of giving it back. You can't win them all. We've got to accept that. But overall, a break-even day. Happy with what I've done. Happy with what I've journaled. Happy with what I'm looking at, and maybe moving forward, we'll stick with these previous day high and low events, and we'll keep the watch list like what we've got on here at the moment. And tomorrow we'll go into a new trading day on the consensus of whatever enters first on the criteria that we set out on the trading plan. We'll see what happens. Whatever enters first, we'll watch that pair, see what the result is. If it's a winner, that's it for the day. If it loses, we will look to enter at least one more attempt on a pair, okay? And then we'll take it from there, guys. So again, this is all about just trying to stick with the discipline, stick with the plan. And I think this week, yes, we're on about break even anyway. If not, we might be on a 1%. I'll have to check over from yesterday's events. But moving forward, we're now starting to get a much more tighter plan into place. I think working, like I say, looking from a bird's eye view, working with the previous day high and low, rather than when we come into this day and then seeing what the today's high and low is up to the point of this 4 a.m. there, the 4:59, which would be, let's just take a look at this a minute. So at the 4:59, let's just see if there would have been a trade on this particular pair. So from here to here, that would take you up to the London session, okay? And the high is here. The high hasn't been broken until we got here. So there wouldn't have been a trade if I used the today's high low. We'll see what would have happened if we sort of done anything on this instance. Again, we're on the 1 minute. Up to the 4:59. 4:59, which is just before 9 o'clock. The high is taken out. That high was taken. We didn't really get a break of structure come down, so that wouldn't have done anything. Odd USD. We'll try that. Euro USD, again on the 4:59, which in London terms would be 8:59. Okay. Today's high and low. So the high hasn't been taken out of the today's high or low with that consolidation. Yeah, so consensus and overall, we're possibly going to continue with the setup of just using yesterday's previous high, yesterday's previous low. Excuse me. And then from there, we'll wait for that breakout to come into play, and then we'll look for the structure points of 1, the liquidity grab, 2, the displacement coming back through for the reversal chalk, which is a change of character, and then looking for that FVG fair value gap. So again, today break even, happy with what I've got, and now I'm implementing and putting in structure for tightening up the plan even more. That's the end of today's videos. Let me know in the comments below what you think. Break even, it's not at all bad, to be fair, considering what we've been doing. It's just a shame we haven't been able to see, which one is it? We haven't been able to see that odd USD sort of come right down and give that 16%. That would have been nice to see today. But that's it. That's me, Mr. John Docherty, Forex Fire. I shall see you all later.